Alright guys, hi there. Alright, you know how in my videos I'm always saying I tentatively am planning this, this is my general idea for what I'm going to do. This last weekend, one of those tentative plans actually happened. Yeah, I got caught up on a few movies that I really wanted to see, and I am oh so glad that I did it. It made me very happy, probably the happiest I've been, at least at a movie theater, for a while. So let's get to it. This last weekend I saw 3 movies in a row. Yeah, I literally sat there at this big, it's okay, I'll cut it, an AMC theater. I sat there for about 9 hours, approximately. And that includes the wait in between the movies and the previews and all that. So I was there for about 9 hours and got through 3 movies, and it's a good deal for me, anyways. I spent about $50, but that's okay. I thought it was worth it. It was a great day. All right, so let's not beat around the bush too much here. First movie I saw was The Book Thief. This is one that had my interest. The trailer, I thought, not the American trailer. The American trailer stinks in comparison to the international trailer. The international trailer was really, really good, and I think it highlights, definitely the better parts of the film. Not necessarily say it's the only parts that are worth mentioning that are good, but the movie was okay. I mean, I can't lie to you. I can't say it was the best movie of the year because it wasn't, but it was a nice, passable entertainment for a couple hours, and it was enjoyable. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you, when I went into the theater, I was actually there really, really early, like early enough that when I went in, the credits from the previous screening had just started, I guess, like a minute before. So I went in there, I'm like, somebody was talking to me, they were saying, this is a good movie, you'll enjoy it. I'm like, okay. I sat down and I was listening because one of the things that caught my eye about this movie was the score is done by John Williams, who is a man who needs no introduction, no background information. If you don't know who John Williams is, you actually know who John Williams is. You will. Believe me. If you just look him up on IMDb, Wikipedia, anything, you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, you know who he is. You'd recognize his music anywhere. I was listening there, and of course, credits have the soundtrack, so I'm like, awesome! John Williams, I get to actually hear his score uninterrupted during credits with nobody behind me in the theater. I actually sat more toward the front, and there was nobody, of course, very early, nobody's behind me, so I'm just sitting there listening to this beautiful score, beautiful music, wonderful music, and it was just heavenly. It was absolutely heavenly to just sit there like that for a good 4 or 5 minutes, and then I was like, oh, now they start the TV advertising and stuff just to plug in stuff. Oh well, where would AMC be without that? They'd be having 3 theater chains in New Mexico. I don't know, I'm just naming off places now. Anyway, so then the movie started, and I'll say the first 10 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes, I thought I'd made a mistake, because then I was like, oh, this isn't very good, because the movie has one of those intros that you're just like, oh, it's going to be one of those movies. And then they introduced Geoffrey Rush and Emily Watson. It's all good. Okay, where do I start with this one? The movie is about a girl named, was it Liesel? Yeah, that sounds right. I know, it's almost a week later now, and there's a couple of things that are a little fuzzy about all 3 movies, so we'll see how this goes. So this little girl, Liesel, who's from Germany, and this takes place all in the Holocaust era, if you will, the Third Reich, all that. And I guess her mother and their family is communist, of course we all know how Hitler feels about that. And so she's trying to save her children and have somebody adopt them, to spare their lives, and maybe bring them up in Germany, under Hitler's rule, so that they can survive. And on the way, her brother, who's only an infant, maybe a year old, passes away. And this is actually a really changing moment for Emily Watson's character, because she says, we were promised 2 dependents, not 1. and the kids obviously. So yeah, that's kind of a, and then from then on, her character is kind of bitter toward the poor girl. This poor 8-9-year-old girl. So that's it's an impressive performance, I have to say, from Emily Watson. And while we're on that topic, the whole cast, the main cast, that is like 3, 4, 5 characters, whatever, all really do well. There's even a couple under 20-year-old kids in there. So yeah, that's an impressive. There's a really impressive performance, I think, from Geoffrey Rush especially. Wow. In a less complicated year, of course, I'm going to bring up Academy Awards when it comes to any video, especially when we're this close to the nominations being announced. Are we less than a month away now? I think we are. Yeah, it's exciting. And in a less complicated year, I think Rush would definitely Rush the actor. Sorry, not Rush the movie. My brain's just running around all over the place now. It's kind of late too, so I'm gonna try to not get up too far off topic, not take the wrong track. Geoffrey Rush, in a less complicated year, I think would be in for Best Supporting Actor. But this year, there's a lot of competition, especially now that Globes and Critics' Choice are pushing up Daniel Bruhl and Barkhad Abdi is, he was getting good praise anyways, but now he's getting even higher praise. Tom Hanks is declining, but that's for another video, which hopefully I'm going to do here in the next couple days. I just uploaded, actually this morning I finished uploading the Oscars at a Glance. Now time to do Oscars at a Glance 2. That was filmed, I think, over a month ago now. So all of that I just uploaded, that's now like almost not even worth watching. So we'll do Oscars at a Glance Part 2, where we're a month away, and then I'll probably do a final predictions video like the night before or maybe 2 nights before the Academy Award nominations are announced, and I'll see how well I do. And God willing, I can do a live reactions video to when the nominations are announced. We'll see how that goes. Because it's 7:45 in the morning, and yeah, usually about that time I'm busy with certain things. It's nuts. So yeah. Okay, enough about that. Let's get back to The Book Thief now. And then we've got Emily Watson. Yeah, I already mentioned. Of the cast, she right now is the best one that stands breaking into the category, but it's set. We've got like our 3 alternates in case the 4 or the 5, if any of them don't show up, we have like 3 alternates, so she's way down in the list and never going to be brought up in too many Oscar conversations. But no doubt a really nice performance and a nice turn for Emily Watson. So, yeah. And then, let's see, we've got the 3 kid characters, if you will. Well, one's more like an older teenager, but whatever. Let's call him a kid. So we've got Liesl. I have no idea what the actress's name is. I guess she's German. I might be wrong about that. I don't know. Anyway, she plays a German, so let's just say she's German, or she's like a British or French or Italian or whatever country she's from with a good German accent. Anyway, she had some really nice moments in the film that you kind of said, wow, that's even for a child actor, that's good material. Kind of like what was it? The War Horse movie. That's right. They had that French girl. Yeah, that girl, the natural performances, her and this girl and Haley Steinfeld in True Grit, all these younger kids. This is our next generation of actors. I'm liking it. And, what's his name? The guy from Hugo, Asia Butterfield. Is that right? That's his name? Yeah. He's in that branch too. What's his name? The kid I'm hearing all about now from Mud. I have no idea what his name is. The young kid in that. I haven't seen Mud, but I've heard lots of people talking about him too. So this is our next generation. I'm liking this generation. We could see some really, really talented people here, up and coming. And then we've got the little German boy. I don't know what his name is. Good moments as well. And then we have the big German boy, if you will. The Jew character. Okay, let's see. We've got Liesl. We've got Rudy. Woody. They pronounce it weird in the movie, so I think it's Rudy. And then we've got I know this. Funny story. We'll get to that in a second. It's Rudy and then Max, the Jew that they're hiding, who's probably the actor's probably in his mid-20s. Yeah, he looks probably 3 feet taller than the poor little girl and about maybe an inch taller than Geoffrey Rush. So, I think he's supposed to play a teenager, but I don't know. I have not read the book, Book Thief. But anyways, yeah, I have to tell you though. So yeah, well, I'll get to that story in a second. I gotta finish the story here. This thing is all... I'm failing. All right, moving on. The story then continues from her being taken, transferring from one parent to two, adopted parents. Now she's, being brought up in Germany under the Third Reich, and she's illiterate too. So her dad teaches her to read a little bit. They help her, he helps her read, and eventually, she comes to love books, and she, and then of course, Nazis were book burners, so so she's not very happy about that. And at one point she says, well, I hate the Fuhrer, and her, Geoffrey Rush is like, you can never say that, and it's a finer moment in the film is when that happens, and then the Jew comes in, who's a good old family friend, I guess, and yeah, so, and then the story just takes off from there. It's kind of like the different version of Diary of Anne Frank, not told from the perspective of the Heidies, but the hiders, and then kind of switching every then and again too. But beyond that, then there's a part where he, not to spoil anything, but he leaves and he's not in the story, and it follows the hiders through the rest of World War II. So yeah, it's a really nice story though overall. And it's kind of making me interested in reading the book, at least a little bit. Because I heard it's actually like a massive Harry Potter-sized book. So we'll see if I get around to it or not. Probably not. Unless I get a whole bunch of spare time, in which I might as well go see some more movies, right? I mean, award season, there's tons out there to see. And so many, that'll get, films that'll just get 1 nomination or 2 nominations and they won't win. But they're still awards movies technically, so... You know how it is. So, yeah, I gotta mention though, the score by John Williams was so damn good, I bought the whole soundtrack. Like a couple of days ago, I said, that soundtrack, because there were certain parts of the music that were going through my head, and I looked up YouTube videos and I typed in stuff, and I was like, I can't pick out one little part of the score, one little song, part of the music that really, really, that really I want to hear over and over and over again. Because there's a couple of moments of the War Horse soundtrack and the Lincoln soundtrack that he did that I'm just like, the rest of the score is good, but this little piece here, this little part of the soundtrack is the best. Here I'm like, there's not really a best part. The whole thing is just great. So I just bought the whole thing, why not? And yeah, it's really, really good score. I dare say it's the best score I've heard all year. Let's see, what else have I heard? The score for Captain Phillips was really, really good. The score for Gravity, which is frontrunner right now for Oscar, very, very impressive score. Stephen Price is his name, the composer's name, and Henry Jackman for Captain Phillips. All three of these, both of them, really, really good scorers and really good composers. And this year, yeah, I think Williams wins, but only by a hair for me. Because the score for Gravity was really great. There's some moments in there where the chords and the vocalists and stuff that are just so awe. You're filled with awe, and there's overtones, and there's massive parts that just give you goosebumps. But I'll tell you, I'm not one of those people. I don't break out in goosebumps when I hear cool things or when I see cool things. I actually don't. If I do, then if I ever break out in goosebumps, it's because I'm cold. Anything else, no. So unfortunately, it's a trait I would love to have, because then I could actually say it gave me goosebumps. But I can't say that unless I'm in the shower and listening to the soundtrack. Then I can say it gave me goosebumps, technically. But let's not put any pictures in your head now. Anyways, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the score. So yeah, that was probably one of the best, if not the best, aspects of the film. The acting was great. Screenplay was actually pretty solid. There are a few lines of dialogue that are they kind of hit home sometimes. You get into the movie enough, and you believe in these characters. You follow these characters. You like these characters enough to the point where you're like, yeah, I want to, you enjoy them. And then when certain dialogue things happen, the movie advances, and you don't want to see bad things happen to him, and that's unfortunate because, yeah, it's overall the story. I'm not going to spoil anything because I really, I did not know jack going into this movie. I just knew it was about World War II era, and it was about a girl, something with books. That was about it, and I knew that Geoffrey Rush was in it and Emily Watson, and that was like the bare minimum. And I knew that, of course, that John Williams was doing the score. So I'm like, okay, there's nothing else playing at this time. I'm going to go see this. And yeah, I have to say, the story, though, not to spoil anything, and I'm not going to, but there are some parts that are really, not good for the characters. Certain things happen to other characters or whatever. I won't spoil it, but it makes life really tough for a few characters a lot of the times, actually. Not just for one scene, but for the whole third act. The whole third act is just like, everybody deteriorates. Well, not to say like deteriorate, like everybody starts dying, but like everybody is like, certain things happen. This character doesn't feel, this character is transforming and like not really, being the same, and they're depressed, or they're, I'm just using examples now, not necessarily what's in the movie. They're depressed, they're angry, they're scared, and it's like a total transformation. You're like, this totally changes what the main character, the Liesel character, who we, she's pretty much our perspective. We see everybody, it's like we're her, through the story. That's how we relate to the other characters. It's like, okay, this is her, but in a way our, adoptive father. And so on. And that's kind of how they link it, which is really tough to do, and it's a screenwriting nightmare to try to do that. I've not tried that because I know I'm not that good yet. But anyways, yeah, so we're like, man, we don't want to feel that emotion. We want to enjoy the good time, because overall the movie, though, is a feel-good movie. It's kind of the lesser child's version of Schindler's List in a way, and also the slightly lesser dark Anne Frank in a way. Diary of Anne Frank, sorry. And yeah, I mean, they're both great films, don't get me wrong, and they far surpass this film, but yeah, this is one that I think overall is much more presentable to family audiences. I would encourage families to go see this. This is actually, it's not just a history lesson. It's not, because Lincoln, that got big success because people realized when they saw it finally, it's not a history lesson. It's an actual, living, breathing Lincoln. He is the man. It was Danny DeLuise's Abraham Lincoln. He is the man, and this is not just him doing this. It's him being a man, being Abraham Lincoln, and encompassing this character that seems like he could only be fictional, but just to know that he was a real man, it's incredible. And even though, yeah, this is actually fiction, this is not a history lesson. There's actually some drama points in here that are kind of realistic. I'll say kind of realistic, because there's a couple of parts where you're like, really, did that just happen? But they're not major things. They're smaller things, but and they're really inconsequential in the end. But anyways, yeah. So yeah, the good points in the film are, yeah, it's the lighting, the costumes, everything looks great. The technical credits are fine. Yeah, of course, the score is bleeping amazing. The acting is great. Screenplay is actually pretty well written in several spots. Yeah, there's a lot going for the film, and then we get to the negative parts. I have a couple words to say about this, because this has made me really angry. Like, the film for me was getting like 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, and then the ending happened. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not, let's just say the ending is not the ending that I was expecting, nor the one that I think was fair to the characters, nor personally the one I wanted. The ending is one that seems like, it makes it feel like a soap opera. I'm going to say it like that, and I'm going to leave it at that. It makes it feel like a soap opera. And a really bad, like, TV series finale. Not like Sopranos, cut to black in mid-sentence Family Guy joke thing, but, more like, I don't know. I can't even make a comparison. I don't know. But anyways, the whole thing is the whole thing comes crashing down. The whole movie comes crashing down in certain points because of a narrator. Okay, this doesn't spoil anything. The narrator is death. I'm going to say that again. The narrator is death. Now, I think I was reading the reviews for the movie too, because the reviews are actually kind of middling, and I think, well, it's better than that. But one critic said, if you're going to have, and I paraphrase, I don't know who exactly it was, but I paraphrase when I say, when you're going to have death as the narrator in your movie, you better have something really profound to say. Anyway, so I'll come back. Yeah, it's not exactly that profound. It's nothing too groundbreaking. We've seen similar stories before, yes, but we haven't really seen it totally from the child's eyes. We see Diary of Anne Frank is all from her perspective, true, but there's not really. It's mainly her. She is the narrator. She is the voice. She is the life of the story, and she is the body of the story, and she is like 98% of the story. And then we've got Liesel, who's also got this character, this character, this character, this character, this character, and the actions also taken by Hitler and by the Nazis and by enemies and stuff like that. So you've got all that, and also the narrator coming in. I gotta tell you right now, when this movie comes out, I am really tempted to get the movie and recut it so that the narrations are cut out. And just have, instead of the narrator talking, blah, 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 I'll just have John Williams' score play. Because the score is, so good, so good. If anything related to this movie that you see, whatever, go to YouTube. You're already there, sorry. Click on the search bar and type in the Book Thief soundtrack and just listen. Listen to a couple of scores, a couple of beats from the soundtrack, and you will be, if you're a real fan of movie music, you will be impressed. You will, trust me, you will be impressed. And yeah, Williams is up to the challenge, and it's a great score. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but it's wonderful. Probably the best I'll hear all year, and the best I have heard up to this point all year. I've actually got a friend who says that if John Williams isn't nominated, that he's going to tear out a couple of Academy members' throats. Yeah, it's that good. Anyways, and this is a guy who doesn't care about Oscars, but he says he better be nominated. He goes off like that. Anyways, so this narrator, the problem is, this narrator ruins everything. Death, because literally there's a couple of moments where Death explains something, and then he'll say exactly what's about to happen. And I say, what? What? He's gonna, what? That's happening, what? And you're just like, what? Yeah, I said what like 20 times, but whatever. He spoils the movie. Literally, the ending, he tells you what's gonna happen right before it happens. So I'm like, oh, now I have no time to react emotionally to this. I have no time to treat this to anything. Now it's happening. I have no time to prepare for this. Whatever, it's happened. They don't exactly show it. Whatever the significant thing is, I won't spoil it. And it's over, and yeah. This narration just needs to die. This is one of the most piercing, unnecessary, ruining narrations in recent memory. I literally can't think of a worse narration in a movie than The Book Thief, like from recent, It's awful, god-awful narration, unnecessary, spoiling, mood-destroying. Because the movie is a feel-good movie, but whenever the narration comes back around, you're just like, oh, there's that creepy death guy again. I bet somebody's going to die now, or he's going to talk about something. It's one of those movies where you just dread whenever the narration comes around. And sometimes when a narration comes around, narration can be so powerful in movies. Like, you look at the best examples of narration I can think of two. One, Forrest Gump. Because Tom Hanks, and the character of Forrest, he doesn't ruin stuff. He enhances it by adding in his afterthoughts. And it's wonderful. Because, you see him doing this, and then he adds his afterthoughts. He says, that was then, let me, forgive me, I'm going to try my Forrest Gump. That was then, and this is now, and that's how that went. Must be hard being a king. He says stuff like that, and that was actually not bad. I've done worse Forrest Gump impressions in my life. If I don't say so myself. Basically, it's a wonderful use to not only get the during, but what he thinks about it now. And, does he still think about it? Of course he does, because he's bringing it up to mind. Does he look at it positive or negative? And we see that in the afterthought. And it's wonderful. The second, one of the better uses of narration ever, Kevin Spacey narrating certain parts of American Beauty. Oh, American Beauty has so much good. I could probably do a 3-hour video. Hang on. Damn heater. Alright, moving on. I could do a 3-hour video of American Beauty and how good it is. I could not only do a commentary on it, I could go on after the credits are done and talk about how freaking amazing the movie is. Really, it's that good. I can't say the same for The Book Thief, especially its narration. Kill somebody from it. Yeah, it's probably the thing that knocks it down 2 points, just on its own. On top of that, the third act kind of starts to stutter in a couple of parts, and you're just like, okay, now that's happening, and it starts to get into an almost soap operatic theme. You kind of feel like you're watching an old episode of, I don't know, let's name a soap opera, Bold and the Beautiful, something like that. I don't watch crap like that, but, it's you get that old tradition, and you're used to it, and it makes the third act feel about a third longer on top of already what it is. Because the first 2 acts actually go by pretty quick, and then by before you know it, you're in the third act, and it's like, it goes from this to that. It's like molasses. It's kind of a hard watch by the end. Because, you're just like, okay, we get it, now move on. Oh, we get it, okay. Certain things are happening, and, it's the end of the war, and all this stuff, so, yeah. But I have to say, without that narration, because the narration ruins the one part of the film, I have to say, the narration, there's one part in the film that, on its own, without the narration, could have made me walk out of the movie a blubbering crybaby. I will admit it. I was liking the characters enough that something significant happens that changes a character or characters, I won't display which one it is, permanently, forever. And it's kind of in a more emotional moment. But it's ruined by the fact that the narrator says exactly what's going to happen beforehand. Yeah, he flat out tells us. Because he's narrating the whole life of Liesel. So he says, and then this happened, and he goes into some smaller details about it, and I'm just like, dude, shut up! Dude, shut up! I'm trying to watch the movie here. This movie wants to give me an emotional reaction, but the narration stops it. It just stops it dead in its tracks, and it's a pissy way to do it. It really is. The narration is just so unnecessary. So unnecessary. What I would give to go back, erase my previous experience, and play The Book Thief without the narrations. Oh, how different the movie would be. It would probably be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 for me. It would probably improve the movie a whole lot. Critics wouldn't bash it as much. Well, depending. And they also then, it would just be so much better, I think. I mean, I'm almost willing to dare somebody that it'll be better. Really, because you show, I'm sorry, you show somebody who's never seen the movie before a cut without the narrations, and we'll see how they experience the things. Film them watching the movie at the same time. Film somebody who's, watching the movie for the first time as it is. And the reactions will probably be 120% different. Yeah, it's a complete. It would be a very good experiment in this case. Also add to that, there's a couple of kid movie cliches, that they throw in there. I don't know if they were in the book or not. I can't tell you. But there were a couple of moments I'm like, okay, we've seen that before. We've seen that before. We've seen that before. We've seen that before. I mean, it doesn't take up the course of the film per se, but it just and they aren't huge distractions away from the central story by any means. But there are moments where you're just like, oh, here's that scene, here's this classic kid cliche stamped onto the movie. Yeah, sign me up for about 20 more hours of that, sure. Yeah. So I think I've ranted on long enough about that. So, in final comments, this is actually a good movie though. With all my gripes in mind, this is still a good movie, and it's still one I would recommend to families. History buffs will probably like it. It's pretty spot on, I think, for the period too. The way they speak, the way everything looks, the way the costumes and everything, the way everything's lit. This would be, if it weren't for all the HD and stuff, the good cameras that we have nowadays, this would be a lit mid 80s, late 80s movie. The way it's lit and stuff too, it kind of feels like you slightly get that little vibe of colored purple in there. I don't know where I get that idea from, but whatever. So yeah, aside from an ending that sucks, not only because the movie, because the narrator ruins it, but because it sucks for the characters, it's character/characters. I won't tell you who it affects or, whatever. But yeah, you just feel that, bad movie endingness that just drags you down a little bit. Still, 7 out of 10 from me. I enjoyed it. It's definitely worth checking out for the score alone. The score is an impressive score. I can't tell you how much I like that score. I bought it on iTunes. The whole score. I don't do that ever. Whenever for example, let's just give an example. Aerosmith. If they have an album out, I would listen to a couple of tracks, and if I liked one song, I would just purchase that song. I wouldn't, let's say I listened to a new album from Aerosmith, or from, I don't know, Smash Mouth, Eagles, Van Halen, whoever it is. Not Beyonce, I hate that. Anyways, if I were to listen to, say, 3 songs in a row from the album, I would probably only purchase those 3 songs if I really, really, really liked it. And I wouldn't continue on. That's not... I'm kind of a little stingy about that. But in this case, I was just like, I can't tell where the music is, not my favorite and where it is my favorite. And I can't just buy my favorite parts. I have to buy the whole thing. So I did, and yeah, I've been listening every now and again to certain parts of it that I think I have figured out as my favorites. But at the same time, there's not really a moment in the score that really sags by any means, but which is a good compliment. So yeah, overall, yeah, Book Thief was good, if not spectacularly great. Definitely not one of the year's best, but hey, it's not one of the year's worst. So okay, guess that's enough of that. And I got 2 more reviews to do, and we'll see how they go.